Hey y'all, happy Tuesday. I am just going to give people a few minutes to come into the room. Hopefully everyone is having an awesome Tuesday. And as you come into the room, make sure you let me know you're coming into the room. I have been having some um computer problems, troubles today. So hopefully we will be able to get through this live as best as possible. Hey, Latoria. Hey, Rhaegar. Hopefully everyone is doing well while everyone is coming into the room. I do want to go ahead and thank my patrons. Thank you so much for supporting my content. And also a special thank you to my VIP patrons, Michael Ray, Alexander, and Daniel. Thank you all so much. Because of you, we can have these times on Tuesday. Also, I do want to let you guys know that I am going to be interviewing a young lady on Thursday, but I'll be posting more information about that to my Twitter and my Instagram. But I will be interviewing a young lady on Thursday, Tara, who is after COVID basically decided to homeschool. She's homeschooling her children now. So we're gonna do an interview with her to talk about that journey, what made her helped her make that decision and how it's been going. Y'all know some of the things people are always talking about, oh, the system is so oppressive, it's racist, it's this and it's that. And so I definitely wanna and I've kind of talked about this before, but I just, with my schedule, haven't had the chance to just go into it now. But I will be trying to do more of that going into 2020 and 2021. Talking about some people that have these kind of like more alternative lifestyles, or particularly things that they try to make y'all think that Black people don't do, like homeschool and grow gardens and do tactical things and hunting and living off the grid and just a whole bunch of stuff that I want to go into. And so we are going to start with interviewing her on Thursday at 8 p.m. Central. So make sure y'all check that out. But all right, hey everybody coming into the room. Hey Edward. Hey Southeast Dusty. He said, hey y'all, hey Rhonda, is my bridge purchased? Yes, it is. Thank you. Southeast Dusty sent me a PayPal earlier today, and I definitely appreciate that. We got Johnny in the building all the way from Australia. Thank you. Hey Mike. Hey L2. Hey JS Hines Randoms. Hey Dale. So, as y'all can see, I have on my anti-status shirt tonight. If you would like one of those are also in the link below. So, let's go ahead and jump into tonight, y'all. We got people in the building from Australia, Germany, all over the place. This is exciting. All right, so, well, Joe Biden is the projected winner of the 2020 election. Notice that I say projected. That's a very important word. If you are one of my regular supporters, you're here every Tuesday. We've already had this conversation, okay? I don't think too many people are startled or moved by the fact that this process is actually going to be drawn out for a couple of weeks. Like, we literally already talked about that. So to many of us, it's not news. I stated that the results would not be immediate and this was going to be a battle. And so that's exactly what it has become. And this has been a very interesting a interesting and a polarizing time, right? I'm watching people who no other time like give a crap about politics, never talk about politics, seemingly have amazing lives. Now all of a sudden go into this super frenzy because of the election and the media, and how media, we've talked about this. The media basically decides what we talk about and what we don't. They navigate the algorithms. Even like I said, just here till recently, nobody was freaking talking about kids in cages. How long had it been since we had that conversation? Even if you pay attention now, I want y'all to start seeing these trends and seeing how it's like the media is on a rotation cycle, right? Even them talking about, it's like, even when it comes to the POC coalition, it's like black people have a turn. Oh, now Hispanics is your turn. Okay, now women in the P hats and, you know, P asterisk. Y'all know what I mean. Um, the pink hats, I'll say that. But it's like everybody has their turn, and it's this rotating cycle. People don't even notice. Like I don't even think a lot of people notice that we haven't even talked about unarmed shootings. And if y'all will remember I specifically said that with I believe his name is Walter Wallace, the young man with the knife, that was, according to reports, mentally ill, and the police were called out. I think y'all remember that story. I told y'all, I said that's very interesting that the media and the algorithms, right? We know who runs the algorithms. I said it's very interesting that the media and the algorithms would choose to specifically highlight this story when, if you look at it, right? If you look at it, if you watch the video, you watch from a legal perspective, you're thinking about it from a legal perspective, from even a tactical perspective, from even all different type of perspectives, right? But when you actually go and look at the video, I'm like, this doesn't seem like the typical video that they would get behind. It was all just about timing. That's what it was. It was all about timing. It was like a week, I think, going into election. It's like, let's push the last little bit on everybody. Let's push this last little bit on their emotions, right? And story disappeared. We haven't heard about it since. But I think that was, it was about a week ago, because actually, no, a week before the election, if I remember correctly, y'all know in the comments. And then last week, news came out that his family doesn't even want to press charges. Had y'all heard anybody talk about that? Had y'all heard anybody talk about that? I had not. Typically, when those stories go viral, we kind of get those updates, back to back. Hadn't heard anything about that. Hadn't heard people talking about it. Why do you think that is? At some point, like, this stuff is just so, like, painfully obvious. It's obvious, right? So they use a story to generate up emotions a week for the election, and then bam, nobody cares anymore, right? Now, had this been before the election, right? The news about his family not wanting to uh press charges, what you probably would have seen is it going, if it would have happened before the election, it would have gone just as viral as when Botham Jean hugs uh old girl in the courtroom. It would have gone just as viral as when somebody else's sister was at the podium and she was saying, black people, you need to love each other more and all this stuff. All that went viral, right? Amber, thank you. When Botham Jean's brother hugs Amber Geiger in the courtroom. But all these follow-ups go viral. But now, not so much. change, right? So these are the kind of things that I talk about. These are the things that I point out because I want people to be aware of the news is on a cycle. Like that's what it is. And so we're constantly having these same conversations and they time them based on whatever they want to manipulate or whatever their motive is at the time. The news is an industry. And so every time uh politics, industry. So every time, you're watching the news, they still have a bottom line. They still need sponsors. They have to do something to make you click, to make you watch. And as we've talked about several times, and this is just a reminder, they've done the studies to show that people are more likely to click on the stories that are more upsetting to them, that are more polarizing, that are more traumatizing, that are more unbelievable. Okay? So, that's just how that works. But all right, back to the election. Let's see what LaVon said here. Thank you, Jupiter Black. He said the media doesn't dictate the elections, and people are about to get their feelings hurt. So thank you. So going back to the election. All right, so we have Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as the projected winners for the 2020 election. Now you do have the Trump administration as well as others saying that there has been some huge fraud that is going on. Now, I haven't dived too deeply into the fraud, okay? I have seen videos here and there that kind of look like some isolated things. I've kind of seen people talking about them, but I have not looked into it's one story I saw. It's two stories. One were dump off ballots, I believe, in like Pennsylvania, and then the other was in, I can't even remember where it was another state where it was something about the 150,000 ballots. Y'all will let me know in the comments. But anyway, right? If this is what your Supreme Court is for, okay? This is going to go into the Supreme Court. A lot of people are saying this is going to ultimately turn out like in 2000s, with George Bush and Al Gore. Is that possible? I mean, absolutely. Even if we look, right? Even if we look at the Supreme Court, the most recent Supreme Court nomination going right into the election, I'm trying to push that last little, get that last person on the Supreme Court. So, definitely, absolutely something could be happening there, but that's absolutely what our Supreme Court is for. I will say this. Our media has become so ridiculous and so polarizing. Some people are projecting that the media has done this on purpose to cause even more friction and divide. I don't even see how it could get more evil and pathetic than that. And I feel like the last bit of optimism in me wants to believe that you wouldn't have people that would stoop so low. But what I've learned up into even going into 2020, at this point, you can't put anything past anybody. We have so many like just corrupt people, you know, like in these political positions. We have so many things going on. People trying to enrich themselves, people trying to just backdoor deals, just slimy things going on. And we've talked about a lot of this, over the course of the last couple years here. And at this point, I mean, it's just mind-boggling. As far as, Joe Biden goes, uh this is one thing. This is one thing I will really say about this, okay? So allegedly, according to reports, Joe Biden was able to have a bigger turnout than Obama. According to reports, Joe Biden was able to have a bigger turnout than Obama. So when I initially heard that, I was like, I can't believe that. I refuse to believe that. Like, how is that even possible that Joe Biden was able to turn out more people than our first black/biracial president? How is that even possible? But the more I thought about it, people are more pushed to action based on fear than on hope. And if that's not crazy to y'all and very telling, I don't know what is. It must be a very winning strategy because obviously, it works, right? And this kind of goes back to what I was just saying with the news media. They know people are more likely to click, read, follow, subscribe with things or get algorithms going with things that are polarizing, upsetting, and things like this. So, and I think also today we have Arizona and Philadelphia that were they basically recanted those states until they are working those out. So Jupiter Black said Fox News has now become the new CNN. Why did y'all think Fox News was different? That's the real question. I've been telling y'all about Fox News. So Midtown Pookie said, I would rather have your fear than your I would rather have your fear than your respect. Michigan. I think that's who I was thinking of earlier. Michigan with those other votes. But y'all keep y'all eyes and ears open. We'll see what happens. As of so far, to my knowledge, there have not been all of these riots and all the stuff the fear mongering, the projecting, oh, if Donald Trump loses, this and the other, they're coming for you. Don't step outside of your front door. You know what I mean? Y'all know how they do. So to my understanding, I haven't seen any evidence of that anywhere so far. Bruce the Boss Brooks said YouTube is checking you in every other video that mentions voter irregularity. We are not allowed to question, conform, and accept the process. It's so funny you mentioned that because here recently in Nigeria, and I believe I may have talked about this a little bit on YouTube, but I know I kind of posted some things about it on Instagram. I saw that the Shade Room posted that that in Nigeria about the police brutality. Y'all know the SARS thing that was going on with it's like a special type of agency, right? That was, killing and hurting people and all these other things. And the Shade Room posts something about how the I can't remember if they said the president or who exactly it was, but some type of governing agency is deciding to censor the speech over there. And I see all the people in the comments talking about, oh, this is so wrong. This is so wrong. Y'all shouldn't do this. And I'm thinking, like, first of all, to some degree, that's already happening here. That's already happening. Second thing is, if Joe Biden goes in as president going into 2021, y'all don't think that's going to happen more? Y'all don't think they already stopped talking about unarmed black men, right? Already. Y'all don't think that's going to happen more to going into this to make Biden look more favorable, especially since you had so many people that voted for Biden as the lesser of two evils, and on this and so many people were already talking about his relation to authoring the crime bill and things like that. So y'all really don't think that's gonna happen here? Man, like, just wait till they roll out the vaccinations. We're going to talk about that a little bit briefly tonight too. But you already got Bill Gates talking about, I can't wait. Like, I can't wait to work with this new administration. Black people are very, from these social discussions that I've seen on some of these larger media pages and things like that, are very opposed to these vaccinations rolling out. Like, I mean, it's a little funny, y'all, because it's not funny. It's not like funny, but it's funny, right? Because now, as some of these things are being said, people are trying to act like so surprised that, or they didn't know these things were coming and things like that. But as far as voter irregularity, now one thing uh that I wanted to say was, I thought it was very interesting that looking at the Congress race, so the Senate and the House, compared to these tons and tons of people, right, that came out and voted for Joe Biden, and for the Congress to look very similar to the previous election, right? You still have Republicans as of now, as it stands. There is going to be a runoff in Georgia coming up here shortly. But as it stands, you have Republicans projected to win the Senate, and Democrats controlling the House, them not flipping the state legislature, not making headwaves really as far as the Senate. Like, so some of these things are just looking odd, right? Looking odd. And that's what your Supreme Court is for, right? To figure these things out so we don't have to. And I guess this goes into the whole conversation of why your Supreme Court picks are important and things like this, right? So we'll see. Bruce saying the irregular, y'all know what I'm trying to say, are in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Arizona. So we will see. We will see. We will see what keeps happening with that, and we'll go from here. But as far as this dragging on, I mean, like, most people already knew that was going to happen. Most people already knew that was obvious. Now, let's talk a little bit about you had let's talk about Eva Longoria. And let's talk about Eva Longoria as it relates to the actual election. So I think this is interesting, and let's see if I can actually play this for y'all. Uh-oh, there we go. Some of you may have already seen this.
Our work is just beginning. But I want to talk about what you just said about the women. The women of color showed up in big ways. Of course, you saw in Georgia what Black women have done, but the Latina women were the real heroines here, beating men in turnout in every state and voting for Biden Harris at an average rate close to 3-1. And that wasn't surprising to us. You know, Latinos are the CEOs of the households. They make all the financial decisions and healthcare decisions and educational decisions. Many Latinas are small business owners, and they wanted a plan for recovery for themselves, not for Wall Street. And so Trump's policies were never aimed at the struggling Latina community. And, you know, if you look at voter suppression on top of that, how Latinas showed up, even through the closing of polling places and the shutting down of drop-off sites and new voter ID laws and long lines and driving 30 miles and all of that. And on top of that, restrictions and safety protocols of a pandemic. That spirit and perseverance that Latinas use in their daily lives, the struggle to pay their bills and the struggle to show up to their jobs and homeschool their kids and take care of their elders, that's the same perseverance and spirit they use to show up at polls.
All right, so y'all heard that. So y'all heard that. So apparently you had some people that were a little upset. Well, not even a little upset, a lot of upset with her statement, right? She says, oh yeah, you know, Black women, y'all did y'all thing, but let me tell you about Latinos and Latinas. That's important to note. Let me tell you about Latinas and how we came out as the heroes of this and this and the other. And apparently you had a lot of Black women that were upset by these comments. But first of all, why? Like, why are y'all upset? Like, I just don't get it. First of all, okay, I guess, I guess they feel like she's shading Black women. Like she ain't have to even say anything or put Black women even in there. But first of all, this is when you have this fallacy of a POC coalition, right? But what's really happening is I have been talking about this for a good while now. You have all these people with different interests, okay? Different needs that have been thrown into this everything but white pot. And now you're going to be fighting for attention, fighting for crumbs, and all these other things. Now, let me be clear because I've talked about, I've done previous videos on illegal immigration and how that can be detrimental to the Black community. So I want to preface this by saying I 100% do not believe in diaspora wars. I don't participate in them. I see people in Twitter going back and forth, and I think it's the most freaking ridiculous thing ever. However, I do believe that people can advocate for on the behalf of the needs for their family, right? Their neighborhood, their community, their schools, okay? It's called self-preservation. So I don't assume if a Latino person says, oh, the Latin community needs this or need to do this, or, an LGBT person, oh, well, we need this and we need that, or whoever, right? A Muslim person or whatever. I don't automatically assume it's some level of hate against me. For all intents and purposes, I wish more Black people would actually advocate for themselves in terms of actual impactful legislation, and not just the representation and, oh, like, black women, we did it. And not even to mention that, whether people realize it or not, this is only the beginning. I've told people, right? The way they came in here, even it's so funny to me, but it's real life. They do this stuff right in our faces, and like I don't know, I just don't know. But anyway, I was about to say, even, Jay-Z, right? I just always bring this up because it's a little funny to me, I have to admit. Like, he kind of goes in, jumps on Kaepernick's bandwagon of, oh, we pass I'm sorry, y'all. Like, we pass all that. We pass the kneeling. And then you come in here, you're in Miami, and you give us a Latino headline the Super Bowl, and people can't even, like, see these are money moves. Like, these people are using y'all emotions to make money moves. When I said this about Jay-Z, and it's no shade to Jay-Z as an artist, I never have a problem with these people, really, with as artists, entertainers, and things like this, right? But they are business people. They are making money moves, and they do it at the expense of your emotions. And I mean, if it comes in and they continually do this and it's working, what's stopping them, right? So even this thing that Eva Longoria said, y'all haven't seen the half of this, okay? When you have a black population that is stagnant and possibly decreasing, when you have a wealth that's projected to be 2053 by uh projected to be 0% by 2053, how, like, logically, right? We're talking numbers, we're talking stats. How much longer do people think it's going to be before you have Democrats expand this POC coalition and tip the scales? It's just basic math. And it's funny because on the live last week, we talked about, I said, do y'all notice how they keep pointing out this whole, like, we gotta watch the Latino vote in Florida? And even the way they said it, it's like you trying to make Latinos like your new little trinkets. So it's already happening. It's already happening. And I'm going to continue to show you that it's happening, because even when you look here, when you look, according to NPR Politics, among the things President-elect Biden says he'll do on day one of his presidency: rejoin the World Health Organization, rejoin the Paris Climate Accords, make DACA permanent, and end family separation at the U.S.-Mexico border. So even out of these four things, two of them have to do with people coming across the U.S. border. Like, they're telling you, like, none of this stuff is a secret. It's so blatantly obvious. And then people want to get mad. What are you getting mad for? They're just, to some degree, verifying, they're confirming in words what's already been happening. And so maybe some people needed to hear that from Eva Longoria to become aware of, like, And I continue to try to tell people that this POC coalition, it's not, when you really get down to it, I just do not believe, I do not see how it's been helpful. And I've talked about this. I've talked about this as it relates to things like civil rights. Okay, I've talked about this as it has related to affirmative action. I've talked about this even as it related to I can't think of the policy right now, but it was something put in place to give women their own space in like sports and like these other things, right? These are things that how feminism used to be, what it actually started as, and those head waves that were made. All of these things are being reversed due to the, well, let's just throw everybody in this pot, right? So people have to think of that. You cannot have a group without having, like India said, hierarchies. That's exactly what it is. Thank you, Title IX. Stay Lace 23 said Title IX. Thank you. That's exactly what I was thinking about. But when you have women who were actual, like the traditional, what feminism started about, pressing on to have something like Title IX, and then you have some people coming in, because now you have other people with other interests, right, being thrown into this pot, and now you're being added or tacked onto legislation that wasn't really like meant for you. Like, let's just call it what it is. Let's just be very honest about that. And so if you are not, hip to these things, if you're not calling them out, and even when you call them out, if you're only going to do it from an emotional standpoint and not a, well, even if we're looking at like this DACA and Mexico border family separation thing. So you use all this George Floyd energy going into the election. You use all this George Floyd, Walter Wallace. Y'all ain't talk. Y'all, I cannot make this stuff up if I tried. When's the last time they talked about immigrant children at the border? Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. When's the last time they talked about immigrant children at the border? It has not even been mentioned in your mainstream media until the last probably 2, maybe 3 weeks. I don't even think it's been 3 weeks before this election. They use all y'all George Floyd energy, and the first legislation they hit you with is DACA and Mexico border. Man, if that is not the most, I can't even call it disrespectful, because is it disrespect if you allow it? Is it disrespect if you allow it? Eva Longoria is an actor, a actress, would be. She's an actress. I think I remembered it correctly. She's not a singer. I think I'm certain she's an actress. Used all your George Floyd emotion to coast right into the election, and then you get mad at the Latino person. You brag about being the backbone of the party, and the first freaking thing on their list, they ain't even thinking about you. Don't be mad at Eva. Who's the real person here shading you? Who's the real person shading you? Eva is just empty words compared to, you have actual people trying to pin policy. They use all your emotional capital. I told people about spending their emotional capital with these people, giving them all your emotion. Your emotion generates money in real time. Your emotions actually generate money, because your emotions uh ends up with you clicking, viewing, buying, and obviously it ran a lot of people to the polls. The emotion of fear ran more people to the polls in 2020 than ran more people to the polls on hope in 2008. Don't be mad at Eva. Her shading you could only last you a segment. What the president elect could do could last a lifetime. So I'm just asking, who's a real person here? Uh, who's a real person shading you? And then here you have Kamala Harris coming in with her tweet. I want to speak directly to the Black women in our country. Thank you. You are often You are too often overlooked and yet are asked time and again to step up and be the backbone of our democracy. We could not have done this without you. You are often too overlooked. Not we. Not we. You, Black woman. Not us. I mean, and just as overlooked as you are, still couldn't put you in what I'm trying to do for the first 100 days. I am just a messenger. I'm showing y'all what their tweets are saying, what they are planning to do, the things people are saying out of their own mouths. I'm just a messenger. Don't be bothered by me. This is what your president elect is deciding to do. These are the things they're saying. They're saying you were overlooked, not them, because they wrote your emotions all the way to the top. We're reading a tweet. So I mean, but they aren't wasting any time. I've uh talked about this. I've talked about illegal immigration as it impacts Black people. I've done content on that. I'm not going to go heavily into that, but you also have Black scholars. Okay, I believe Dr. Clyde Anderson is one of the main ones that have spoken about this from a numbers and stats perspective. I'm not talking about kumbaya and how you feel. That is fine as well. However, it does not dismiss the actual data, right? And so I've talked about these things as it regards to that. And I think you should, man, let me tell you something. Why wouldn't immigrants like advocate on their behalf? That makes sense to me. So I would never feel any type of way towards a person for doing that, right? Even, and I've talked about this before, people used to be mad at people coming over the border. Don't be mad at them. Be mad at your freaking politicians selling you out. They're sitting here doing this. Like, they're the ones. If you're sending messages that you are setting up to make it easy for people to come here, why wouldn't they? That literally makes sense. And so how people can be mad about that instead of the actual politicians that are like literally setting people up for the play, like, it's the same thing. It's the same thing I just said about Eva Longoria. Like, who's the real one shading you here? Who's actually the one shading you and doing you the dirtiest? Like, we have to be real here and put the blame where it actually belongs. So even me ending something like and y'all know our politics, like, people are watching, people are paying attention. I see this on your agenda. I'm like, shoot, I'm in there. People are going, every inch you give people, they're going to take that and more. That is literally human nature. It's human nature. So that's why it is in the best interest of people to know what's in the best interest of them, their families, their communities, and things like that. So you put these politicians into place that actually represent you and the needs of you, not people that's like not born here and they're putting people like before you, and then they aren't even quiet about it. They tell you right out of their own mouth, this is my priority. And don't even get me started on the World Health Organization and the Paris Climate Accords. Y'all remember we talked about Paris Climate Accords. We talked about the United Nations and all these other things they were trying to do. If y'all remember, I did content on, as a result of these Paris Climate Accords and all this other stuff, you actually had huge riots and protesting in Paris, France. I know many of you remember that, and that was a direct response to some of these climate policies that are stifling the middle class, right? Because when you think about climate change, it has a lot to do with fuel. So you think about drivers and things like that, and who's driving. Oftentimes, these people are middle class people, and so you had people like, it was crazy riots for like weeks and weeks and weeks. And I covered a lot of that because it's crazy. So while other countries tend to look at us a lot, we tend to, Americans tend to be very disconnected. We typically are in our own little bubble. We don't know what the heck is going on. Like, even me, right? Like, I'm not that super informed on national policy and things like that, international. And it is something that I want to go more into, but I'm not quite there yet, right? And so I just knew that on this side of the TV, I would see them talking about, oh, let's do these climate changes and let's, just pay this little tax and we'll fix it and we'll do this and do that. But then I'm looking at the other side of the world and I'm like, why are the same thing y'all telling me here is so good for me? On the other side of the world, they're burning down stuff. Like, they are like in the streets for weeks and weeks at a time. Like, something's not adding up here. And I like, that's the type of person I am. When our media starts saying like, we should do this is good for you, we want to implement this, let us save you, let us help you, I immediately start looking in either cities where they've done that, countries where they've done that, because I want to see what you're projecting to me. I want to see how this model has worked in real time, right? Somebody was talking about high speed rails. I started looking over here at California. uh uh oh, I don't know, I can name like tons of things, and we've talked about some of these things here. Ron said France has its own freedom of speech problems right now. Absolutely. And a lot of people, like I said, Americans, it's like sometimes we're so in a bubble that I don't even think we know that a lot of the things they're trying to implement here to some degree has happened in these other areas. And we need to do our due diligence to look at these things, how they have worked and things like that. Even me, when COVID was first happening and they were talking about, hydroxychloroquine, they were talking about vitamin D, they were talking about vitamin C, they were talking about, using UV lights for disinfecting like trains and subways and all this other stuff. And I was looking at all this stuff that they were doing in these other countries to see, because I'm sure other countries put all their little political spins on stuff too, I would imagine. But here in America, like it's ridiculous. Like every freaking thing is political. Everything is polarizing. And oftentimes you have real people lives being used. We're being used as pawns. Like we don't even know what happened to the second stimulus. I just so I would look at these things to basically get a better understanding of maybe how some of these things could work as applied to America. But whew, just crazy times, man. Crazy times. Like, so I don't know. I'm glad to see that as of now, no violence has occurred, rioting to my understanding, because of the election. I do think that could possibly change. Honestly, I think that could change both ways depending on um you know if, because right now you have Joe Biden that's projected, if anything changes with Trump, um it being solidified that he's not going to win, maybe possibly a little bit, but I think it would be much worse if they be like, all right, Supreme Court, all right, Trump, you will 2021. So Bruce said America will have its own yellow jacket movement like France if social media keeps censoring and Biden pushes authoritarian orders during a second lockdown. So that's what I was talking about with the movement in France. It was the yellow jacket protesters, where you had these people protesting like this climate tax, which was supposed to affect the rich, but oftentimes we know that ends up spilling into the middle class. And so that's exactly what happened. And Bruce said, y'all gonna have y'all own version of that. Um, so, woo, child. It's crazy out here, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, so let's talk about Hey Y'all Mugs, link in my bio. Um, so now let's talk about CNN. Hey Kendra. Let's talk about CNN. Okay, I call CNN the crime. Whew. Oh boy, the Crime Negro Network. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at this video. Your boy Van Jones over here. And he's not the only one, but it's somewhere between funny and sad. So I have to make sure that y'all see the video. All right, here we go.
You don't have to worry if the president doesn't want you here. If you're an immigrant, you don't have to worry if the president's going to be happy to have babies snatched away or send dreamers back for no reason.
vindication for a lot of people who have really suffered. You know, I can't breathe. You know, that wasn't just George Floyd. That was a lot of people that felt they couldn't breathe. Every day you're waking up and you get these tweets and you just don't.
They couldn't breathe, but they ain't said nothing about it or put it in nothing of their first 100 days. But okay then.
No, and you go in the store and people who have been afraid to show their racism are getting nastier and nastier to you, and you're worried about your kids and you're worried about your sister. And can she just go to Walmart and get back into her car without somebody saying something to her? And you spend so much of your life energy just trying to hold it together. And this is a big deal for us just to be able to get some peace and have a chance for a reset. And the character of the country matters. And being a good man matters.
All right, so that's Van Jones over there on the Crying Negro Network. All right, this is what they do. Every couple weeks, you got somebody crying over there. Van Jones is always crying. Like, give me a freaking break. Like, we're gonna talk about it. All right, so then you got this guy. I don't even know who this is, so this must be his claim to fame. And y'all know I've been very transparent with y'all about I don't really watch the news as much anymore. I see like stuff that goes viral when y'all talk about it, but other than that, I'm pretty much like reading everything for the most part. So this is over on BSN.
Emotional for me because it's emotional for me because nobody knows what it took to get to this point. Nobody knows what it feels like as a black man.
Now tell me he don't sound like he finna bust out in the Negro spiritual.
Be able to speak in this moment. And the country owes black people so much to get us here because if it wasn't for black voters in Wisconsin, Georgia, and Michigan, in Pennsylvania, we would not be here. We would not be
here. These are y'all commentators. Like I'm gonna just call it what it is. At this point, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. You have these big grown men. Like, what exactly are you crying about? It looks so weak. It's weak. It's very weak. Like, and I don't know what they got going on, but I just know if that was me and like that's my man or my brother or my dad, like I'm clowning you forever. I'm clowning you forever just off the strength of you're on national TV. Get yourself together. Not only that, this is your job. This is your job. Like you talk about everything. And don't even get me started because, you know, I'll jump to like, in my head, this on some agenda type stuff. I don't know if this a further emasculation thing, but I've talked about this before as well. And I think I even mentioned someone, I can't remember the guy's name, but I believe, and we've talked about it before, but if I remember correctly, he went on somebody's show and he talked about how he couldn't get a job with any of the news agencies because he wasn't like, yeah, man, y'all know what's up. Y'all know what time it is. They be having some real soft, and this has nothing to do with freaking sexuality. It has nothing to do with sexuality. It has everything to do with mindset and what you're representing to the world. You don't go this whole the black man, oh, we so scared of the white man. We so scared of Donald Trump. Van Jones, you literally worked with this man on the First Step Act. You worked with the Trump administration. So at this point, I don't know. I don't know if this some type of emasculation agenda, or if they literally told you, yeah, to get back in our good graces, you're gonna have to, you know. Mm. To get back in our good graces, you gotta make some shake. You gotta do some, like, how can not y'all really think let's talk about real life. Let's talk about real life. Do y'all really honestly think grown, big grown, not even little grown, big grown black men sitting around here crying because Donald Trump has moved out of office? Do y'all really think that, like, seriously? Is it to that level of emotion? Like, and it ain't even no, oh, we made a mistake and saw a little tear. Like, you sitting on national TV sobbing. You're sobbing. And I'm not even the type of person to believe, oh, men shouldn't have emotions and men shouldn't do this and do that. I don't believe that. But what I do believe is that you ought to be able to contain and express them thoroughly. Definitely depending on, the moment, the location, and what you're presenting. This is something y'all have TV programming. We are literally sitting here. You have hundreds of thousands of people watching the news. Your notice is going to go viral on the internet. Think about the psychological warfare and what this is painting to the world when you keep seeing these big grown black men crying on TV. That is pathetic. And I'm not going to call it anything less than what it actually is. And for people that want to be offended, you want to feel some type of way, y'all have to remember that everything that is being projected through that TV sticks with people. Those images, this is not this man first time crying. Why is this becoming a recurring theme with him? I'm starting to feel like, and y'all know they push certain they try to push certain images on certain people, I believe, right? Like, we've talked about this where, and I'm not saying that these aren't subscribed to more people. I'm telling y'all the people that I have noticed, right? Or I've watched more, particularly in the past, because I don't watch it as much now, right? But when Angela Rye used to have her, let me tell you moments, right? And even y'all remember the Hispanic lady, I can't think of her name right now, but she on CNN, and you pull out a nail file, like, you're telling me you're trimming your nails in the middle of a news segment and nobody thinks that that's odd. It's just little things that they do. I feel like that is made to add to the psyche of how we are seeing people represented. And so I really want them to stop this narrative that even majority of people are just running around all day, just scared, just in a freaking panic, just sobbing. Like, it's sad. It's so sad. to even put that much emotion into another man. Y'all don't think something is wrong with that? You got another man. This ain't like you had a family member that passed away, or you have another man that, like, things he said and tweeted got you sobbing on national TV. I mean, it's just that, like, that is just unacceptable to me, and my mind cannot even fathom it. And the funny thing about it is, if somebody had said this to me without me actually seeing it with my own two eyes, I would have never believed this man sat here and cried that hard. And this is not on accident. They're constantly looking for those, oh, like, this will go viral moment. And obviously he already had a little tissue right there wiping his tears. I didn't see the tissue the entire segment. So had you been sobbing all day, or were you just prepped and ready? Both are equally odd. I don't know if equally, but they're both still odd. But this is the media. I'm so like, I'm very tired of this weakling narrative. It's a very just soft aura that I think is a bad visual projection and visual imagery. I just don't understand. I just don't understand. I just don't understand. And you know, if you just look at the people, a lot of your news pundits, I'm just telling y'all, look at a lot of your news pundits, look at a lot of your news commentators. They're very soft people. They're very soft and emotional. And again, like I said, this has absolutely nothing to do with sexuality, and it has everything to do, like, because some of them, like Van Jones, was married. You know what I mean? So I'm obviously not even implying that. I'm literally talking about a mentality, especially coming from especially coming from a group of people that already have such a skewed level of representation, right? I've talked about this. I've talked about this often, from, if we're talking about reality TV to sitcoms, to what they push on us through the algorithms and all these things. So we have to remember that nearly majority of what we see is to some level scripted, prepped, planned. It has some type of a theme or image that they're trying to push, and how people can't see this as problematic. How you could even agree to do this, or even not be able to get yourself together in that moment, knowing the history of this country, and some, like, overall way more traumatizing things that have happened. And I just do not recall seeing videos like this, even from when we're talking about the freaking civil rights movement. Good grief. Maybe they're hidden. But I just think about, like, even when you look at, like, Martin Luther King, I don't know if I would go as far as calling him like militant, but he was very just like man's man, stand up, upright. Like I'm saying what I'm saying. I have emotion. I might feel some type of way about what I'm saying, but like, don't get it twisted. I don't know, man. It's just some weird. It's just some real weird energy going on. But one thing I did say, the best thing that would come out of a Joe Biden presidency, well, it's a little well, one of the best things will probably be the deading of all like these type moments and people acting like a lot of these things begin and end with Trump. It's so fake. It's just fake, man. It's just fake. And people probably gonna feel some type of way that I'm saying it. But like, let's be real. Like a lot of these things, as far as like the social things going on, these things are not new. And so to even give that person so much energy, it's weird, man. And it's weird and it's fake. And I know the media has created a lot of that. And y'all know I've talked about like my own uh beefs, for a lack of a better word, with Trump, and like a lot of like the tweets that I think were super annoying, and a lot of the missteps, like some of the just silly things that I thought, absolutely silly things I thought the administration did, right? But this emotional reaction, whew, baby. I mean, whatever. If that's, what keep people going and keep the world turning, I guess. But like, maybe, I don't know. Maybe I have to do a survey. But my experience has been that most people every day are just going to work and being bombarded with their children and the homework and cooking dinner and caring for family and all these other things. Like, even to go on there and, you know, weep. This man wept. Even to go on there and weep when you have just so much, right? Like, even if we're going back to the lockdowns and how that's actually affected people's livelihood in real time. You have people looking at evictions, and then you had a Congress that used people as pawns to not, send out this second stimulus. But you have people's businesses being shut down. You have people being ready to be evicted. You had people that literally their grandparents had to die alone in the hospital, while now you have people out there celebrating. I'm talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of people in the streets. Like, so I feel like it's a lot not making sense here. And I feel like it's actually an elitist position to be able to sit there on your beautiful lit stage and weep to the world because you put all this energy into one into one man, when some people couldn't even have tomorrow. Um so but y'all just, and I'm sure some of y'all are, but if you're not, like, just start paying attention and be aware of the cycles that our news media is taking from. We talk about this to we talk about that, but we can't talk about these two groups, at one time, because we got a one POC quota for the month. and just these cycles, and how people are being represented to us, whether it's you know whether are they being over emotional, are they can you tell that they're upping their personality to try to get this next viral moment, or they're taking a more stereotypical route, okay, to what they're saying or presenting. Just because even I remember telling y'all, it was so funny. I wasn't surprised at all when Kamala Harris put her bid in for the presidency. Some people had never even heard of her at that point, but I had been paying attention to her from those Senate hearings, because if y'all remember, the media slowly started ramping up how visual she was becoming. She started having those viral moments. She was at the Senate having those black girl magic moments, right? And I was like, I'm gonna keep an eye on this lady. She's interesting. Let me see what's about to happen here. So I started looking into her, and then uh uh I remember one of the main reasons I was looking at her, because she had the lynching bill, and then so I'd already read the bill, and then the Jussie Smollett thing happens, right? And then after that, she throws her hat in the ring for the presidency. Okay, I see what y'all did there. I see what y'all did. So, man, it's like once you start to see these things, you can't unsee them. It's like the media almost becomes predictable, and even me, sometimes I still have that little bit of hope and optimism, like good grief, and every time, but yeah, Southeast Dusty, remember he said yes, and they used her for the Kavanaugh situation. Exactly, exactly. She had the viral moment with that, with the Kavanaugh thing. And then I think it was one more thing that she did or said. And it's funny because Kamala Harris and Cory Booker were bouncing off each other. They were kind of, at that same time, they were kind of being highlighted more, being shown more, getting more of their speaking time and things like this. So you'll see it once you really just start watching, and you get more familiar with the plays that the media makes. Like, you'll be like, aha. But all right, y'all. Anyway, so those are a few things that I want to talk about. We will continue to keep an eye and see what happens as Trump takes this to the Supreme Court. They'll ultimately be deciding. And it will go from there. And so we will see. But I must say, 2020, I'm talking about, you couldn't beat 2020 with a stick. This year has had the most twists and turns, and it's been the most polarizing year. But oddly enough, for a lot of people, including me, I don't know if it's been like this for y'all. Oddly enough, this year has also been a year of vision and clarity to really see things. And not even when it just comes to the politics in the world, but even just dealing with like family, friends, work situations, learning yourself better, like as an individual. I don't know if y'all have been having that experience, but 2020 has been very enlightening for me. So, and I know I've seen a lot of other people also saying they've been having similar experiences. Ron White said 2020 vision. Exactly, exactly. Jupiter Black said 2020 is a year will go in the books of WTF, LOL. Helena said, I need a 2021 preview before I agree to terms and conditions. I know, right? Um, But I'm not so sad, girl. You got to get a new mic. Sometimes it breaks up and sounds weird. Okay, so I actually have a new one. I just haven't started using it yet. But I'm glad you let me know. So I'll be sure to do that. So I apologize about the breaking up and stuff like that. But yeah, I see a lot of people um saying that they've been seeing things a lot more clear in 2020. But all right, y'all. So I am going to go ahead and get out of here. Once again, thank you to my patrons. A special thank you to my VIP patrons. Let me see. Did I miss a super chat? I don't think I did. Oh yeah, wait. Bruce said, last I recall, there are Latinos in Florida that were massively for Trump. What is she saying about the Cubans? Are they not Latinas? Chelsea Handler. Also, another thing I wanted to mention, if y'all didn't notice, the funny thing about listening to Eva Longoria talk, even if you sit there and listen to what she was saying, it's so interesting how she's only taking she's literally, not only did she push black women to the side, right, to say that Latinos were these real heroes of all of this, but if you go back and listen to the clip and the language that she was using, it sounds exactly like the same language that they try to push as the identity of the black woman, right? Like, we some strong Latinos. We came out and did it against all the odds. She was very distinct in saying Latinas with an A, right? As in women. And I thought that was super interesting. It's super interesting. And it lends even more into possibly being replaceable. I keep telling people that, it's going to be up to you to notice it or not notice it. Scott, thank you. Appreciate you, Scott. A special thank you to my VIP patrons, Michael Ray, Alexander, and Daniel. Thank you to Andre for the Cash App. I appreciate you so much, Andre. And all right, y'all, if you want a anti-status tee, okay, or a Hey Y'all mug, those are in my link below. Thank y'all for rocking with me every Tuesday. And do not forget, this Thursday at 8 p.m. Central, I will be interviewing a young lady who her children went from public school to homeschooling. Okay, and so we're going to be talking about that for people that may be interested in it, interested in getting into homeschooling, escaping the oppressive system. You know what I mean? We're talking about solutions over here. Okay. But yeah, so people that may be interested, we're going to talk about her journey, and things she's doing and how other people may be able to look into that. And I think that's it. All right, y'all. Have a good night. Bye.